Thursday, May 19th, 1920. And for some of us, it was the last day of our lives.
You see, we came into town in the morning. There was 11 of us Baldwin-Felts detectives on the same train, including 2 of us who were brothers. He and myself. This here's Lee. He's rough, he's rugged, he's the muscle of the operation. My name's Albert. I'm your field manager. Our brother Tom back in Bluefield, he ran the agency. We all knew that this would be a dangerous and important job, and we always sort of halfway expected trouble, but not the trouble that we got that day.
Yeah. I had a bad feeling about it even before we got off the train. But we had to do it. It was our jobs. Those miners had broken their contracts with the Red Jacket Coal Company. They knew what was coming, and it was our job to enforce the rules.
That's it. They broke the bargain. They signed on with the United Mine Workers of America. They knew the penalty. And they were fired, and we were sent to remove them from company property. They had no right living in them houses. And once they did turn against the company, well, it just stands to reason that they were nothing but squatters and troublemakers. They didn't own those houses.
That's right. It was a bad time in the coal fields of southern West Virginia. Wildcat strikes were breaking out all over the country. Now, President Wilson, he tried to ease the tension with the union miners by giving them a little bit of a raise. And he appointed a commission to investigate the problems down in the coal fields. But here in West Virginia, they didn't want a commission or an investigation. Things here didn't settle down.
The union organizers were stirring up violence of all kinds. When the company hired new workers, well, those union outlaws, they wouldn't stand for it. They said that they wouldn't let that coal come out of the ground. They laid off miners. They were armed with high-powered rifles and pistols. They broke into company property. They destroyed everything they could get their hands on. Machinery, furniture, everything. They attacked new workers, and sometimes they even murdered them.
Yeah, and of course you had John L. Lewis and Mother Jones. They were traveling around, making speeches. They were getting everybody whooped up. They were trying to make it look like the coal companies were run by devils, instead of just decent citizens trying to do business the American way.
We who were here, we understood it. There was a war going on. The rest of the country didn't quite comprehend it yet. Both sides of the fight were willing to kill and willing to die. And this is where it all hit the fan. May 1 was where that powder keg exploded.
And of course, we didn't know any of that on the morning of May 19th. For us, it was just another unpleasant job.
You know, we met up at the Urias Hotel. It was run by a certain Ants Hatfield. I'm sure each one of you's heard that name before, but it's not the Ants Hatfield that took part in the Hatfield-McCoy feud, though we do suspect that he may have been a younger relative.
And although they shared the same name, Ants Hatfield and Sid Hatfield, they were not on good terms. Why, just by making us welcome in his hotel, Ants had made an enemy out of Sid. Some say it cost Ants his life. That's how ugly things were in the coal fields at that time. You were either on one side or the other.
By the time we assembled at the Urias, it was getting on towards the middle of the day. Ants fed us a good meal, and we went on and got started and did our jobs. Well, the problem is none of us was looking forward to the day's work.
How could anybody look forward to turning people out of their homes? But we had to do it. It was our job.
And if they had just let us do our job, things wouldn't have escalated so badly. But tempers flared. We received threats. One thing led to another. A few times, you know, we got a little carried away. We started tearing the roof off of houses. We threw things into the street. We destroyed it. We broke it. It didn't matter. These things happen.
That's true. But that afternoon, we were going about things in an orderly way. We had made it just as far as the Kelly house. Now, Kelly wasn't there when we got there, but his wife says, well, you've got to wait for my husband to get home. We didn't have time for that. We told her to get out, and she knew we meant business. 4 of us went inside the house and started hauling out the furniture. We were throwing it out in the yard whenever Kelly himself showed up. Needless to say, he was none too happy.
But that's when the real trouble showed up. Sid Hatfield and C.C. Testament, the mayor of Matewan, and trailing behind them, a crowd of angry miners, each one of them loaded with their rifles, their pistols, wearing red neckerchiefs, every damn one of them itching for a fight.
Yeah, that's right. They were itching for a fight. Sid Hatfield walked right up to Al Felts. He says, the Baldwin-Felts agents don't have any authority to throw these people out of their homes. Hatfield was steaming mad, but Al stood his ground. He said, yes, he checked with the courts, and we were justified in performing our duties. Well, Hatfield, he demanded to see the papers. We didn't have any papers. We didn't need papers to take back company property. Al told Hatfield if he wanted proof, he could walk back and make one and call the courts. Well, they argued for a bit longer, and finally Hatfield and the mayor walked back to town with that angry gang of miners still following them. We breathed a sigh of relief then, I tell you.
Well, we did. We went on about our work, and that day we evicted 6 families. The drizzle kept falling, and by 4 in the afternoon, we went back to the Urias for an early dinner. We packed up most of our heavy guns, but you know, a few of us, we kept our pistols on us, just in case. We planned on catching that 5 o'clock train back to Bluefield.
It was just about time for our train to arrive. We were walking towards the depot. We had just passed Chambers Hardware Store.
And that's when the real trouble comes around again. Here comes Sid with a few others crowding around him, saying he's got warrants to arrest all of the Baldwin-Felts detectives.
Yeah. Well, Al was ready for him. He turned the tables neat as you please. He says, I'll return the compliment. He pulls out a piece of paper out of his pocket. He said, this is a warrant for Hatfield's arrest, and we'll be taking you back on the train to Bluefield with us.
And that's when I noticed that there was a large number of guns everywhere. Miners watched from the square. They hung out of doors and windows along the block. I saw some of them hanging out of the upper story windows at the old hardware store. Each one of them was loaded with their pistols and their rifles. And boy, I began to get a very, very sick feeling in my stomach.
And then somebody went running out of the square, yelling that Sid Hatfield was under arrest.
Oh, you could feel that tension building.
Yeah. Then Mayor Testament comes bustling out of his jewelry store. He's a baby-faced man with a big pot belly. He demands to see the warrant.
He takes one look at it and says, this is a bogus warrant, not worth the paper that it's written on. And that was it. It was like lighting a fuse to the end of a match. There we were, and we were completely surrounded.
But you all will see all this in just a few minutes for yourself.